All right, we were at minute 50, right?
Yep.
All right, let me go ahead and share screen. All right, we good?
Yep.
You want
I
you
got
want to
it.
do
A recap?
yeah, let's do the recap. Let me stop share real quick. And we can go through that. All right.
You want to do it?
Yeah, so basically in part 1, we listened to 50 minutes of the first part of the Art of Mood podcast, and there were 2 major points going on. One, and there was a straw man argument saying that physios, specifically probably Alexis, doesn't use the biopsychosocial model, or doesn't incorporate biomechanics within the biopsychosocial model. He only relies on psychosocial variables. Obviously, this is wrong. It's a straw man, and we've covered that in the previous episode. But again, it's important to point out that we do use biomechanics, right? They are important. We don't just focus on psychosocial factors. The second point, let's see here. What did we write down? The second point is the argument that we only use science to inform our beliefs. Again, this is straw man. We start with science, right? If the data is available, we use the data to the best of our ability. When no data is available, we will rely on our experience. Again, so it's kind of like a filtering of information where we start with the highest quality evidence, and then we use that, filter it down, and then whatever's not apparent in the data, or we don't have a good idea of what's going on, we'll fill it in with our experience. Again, so we're not advocating for scientism. We're advocating for using scientific evidence to inform our practices.
Yeah.
You anything want to add there, or you want to jump into it?
Yeah, last thing, I think it was pretty clear that Naudi was improvising a lot of the things that he was doing, and possibly like inventing, like future proofing failure by inventing like cop outs. Like it can be quantified, even though he constantly says that he has more variables than scientists, and then you can't put it into words. He improvise, like he just comes up with it on the fly. It's never written.
Right.
It's almost like he's a prophet. Right? You need my word, and my word is God or something. I don't remember where that's from, but
that's definitely what it sounds like.
yeah.
Especially when he was talking about like how he made up like 30 or 40 different exercises in one session, and then people like revered him as like a god.
Yeah.
Because he invented exercises.
Yeah.
All right, let's share screen and let's get this second part going. Whoops, wrong one. Give me a sec. I'm gonna stop share. There we go. Okay. All right.
There's still going to be haters. There's still going to be, because capitalism makes people deny Elon Musk, right? That's why it really is. You see, people are crazy enough to say that Elon Musk is full of shit, and I'm like, dude, shut up. When I was growing up, I'm almost 40 years old. I'm 38 years old. I'm pushing on 39. And I'm like, okay, when I was growing up, I remember hating the fossil fuel industry and blaming the fossil fuel industry for most of our problems and the fact that we were in Iraq because of the fossil fuel industry. It fucking pissed me off. Then all of a sudden, one dude named Elon Musk grabs his fucking balls and he says, you know what? I'm going to address this problem right now. I'm going to address this and I'm going to grab my balls, and he didn't get assassinated when he did it. It's the most inspiring story of my fucking lifetime. After he pulls that off, what do you have? Millions of haters, millions of them that want to tear him down. You can't win in this world. So at the end of the day, I'm going to cement my position as well as I can, but I can't convince everybody. But bro, if I can convince 10% of the smartest people on the planet to buy into what we do, then guess what? That changes the entire world. So I don't need to convince everybody. You don't have to convince everybody. And not everybody has to buy into peer review. Not everybody. Is there any peer review data that suggests that a Tesla is better than a traditional car? Is there any peer reviewed evidence? I guarantee. I would imagine you maybe have to go into metrics, but if you went into an internal combustion engine car and then you went into a Tesla, you wouldn't need a scientific study to determine that the Tesla is way fucking better. Until you get into one, you can't know. That's really what it is. And until you get into it, you can't really know either.
The issue is going mainstream, right? Like if you want to go mainstream, it's very profitable.
Oh, you think so? Well, that's a great position that you have. You ever hear of this program called P90X? You ever hear of it? You ever hear of this one company called CrossFit? Have you guys ever heard of CrossFit before? You guys ever hear of Orange Theory or F45 training? You guys ever hear of these companies? Have you guys ever heard of them by any chance?
Of course.
What science did P90X have to solidify its claim on the market?
And that's an interesting point that you're making right now, because you seem to be held to a different standard. And from my view, I'm like, why doesn't Naudi just cut like, okay, a wood chop? Everybody loves the wood chop. What's his name? Greg Cook made it famous. I'm like, why doesn't Naudi just say his hair bar is a wood chop and with motion in it? And then there's your scientific validation right there, right? That's how, I'm saying that's how it's done now.
Can you bump up the volume?
Like for the most
Yeah.
Let me put it this way.
It's at full max.
Guys, people aren't that stupid. People aren't dumb. They're not stupid. They act stupid. That's the difference, right? I know I'm politicized. I know people are politicized, but the thing is, people are not dumb. You act dumb and then effectively become dumb because you act dumb. But if you stop acting stupid and you get to work and you really actually begin to like, when you are inclined to want to look at your problems and confront them, you become intelligent. I believe that that's the byproduct of the intelligence is the byproduct of taking accountability for your shitty behaviors. That's what I believe it is. And so people act dumb, and that's why they become dumb. So quite literally, if I present somebody a solution for a problem, they're going to be able to tell to some extent or the other whether it works or not, whether it works long term. This is a thing. P90X worked for a while. CrossFit worked for a while as business models. Why are you not seeing new systems really popping up and exploding like CrossFit anymore? Because those systems injured so many people. Why is yoga losing steam? Because it's hurting people. Because it's not solving problems. Everything is funneling to FP. And why is everything funneling to FP? Because all the other shit failed. So that's the whole idea. I saw into the future, guys. I saw what people were doing, and I did an analysis, right? I did a cost-benefit analysis, and then I said, you know what, like just like a financial advisor, and I said, hey, look, you guys are all going to go bankrupt in about 10 to 15 years, and here we are in 2022, and people are fucking going bankrupt, and now they're forced to have to implement FP protocols, because if they keep doing everything else, it's going to keep failing. And right now they're hoping that it's a placebo thing. The biopsychosocialists are hoping that it's going to be a placebo thing, but that's not going to work. In about 2 years, you may get benefit from that for about a year or two. Then eventually the effects are going to wear off. You're going to shift your asymmetry so far to the point where you're going to hurt yourself. Or I'm wrong. But up until this point, I've been predicting the future in many regards. I get it wrong. I may, but I don't get it critically wrong. And never mind that. When I get wrong, you guys don't even know what I get wrong, unfortunately, because I don't even share it because that's part of my intellectual property. So that's just, I played the game fucking well. And we won't need studies in the future. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, pause.
Yeah, let me stop share. So we can
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah, first of all, yeah. Did you stop the screen share?
Yeah, stop share. So we
Okay.
can talk.
First of all, very interesting that he says he cites like, oh, you should use Grey Cook as a reference, as if Grey Cook hasn't been thoroughly debunked with like all the FMS shit. It's like, I don't know. It's a good example of people just, I don't know. I don't think they're reading the research that well, because they did see that Grey Cook has fallen out of favor because specifically because he had good ideas. They just, made common sense, but they just didn't pan out because we tested them and they didn't, right?
Yeah.
And that's why people don't really use the FMS anymore. It's a good example of why we should test FP, because even though some people think it makes sense, there's a lot of things that make sense that when you test them, they don't pan out, right? That's what the Fair Enough 2019 study did. It's like a review where they look at like a lot of like common sense approach, and then they looked at high quality RCTs, and they saw that it was like very routinely and very often disproven. When you use common sense, it's like something might make sense, but it's always worth it to investigate, because sometimes it just doesn't work that way because the human is very, very complex and we have a lot of like fail-safe mechanisms.
Yeah.
What was he talking about? Also, the fact that people are going bankrupt. He just made that up. Like it's not even true.
He also made up the idea that CrossFit has a really high injury rate. The injury rate, from my understanding, is like pretty similar to powerlifting and weightlifting.
Yeah, it's almost the same.
Right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there like
there's three studies on this. The one is
on that.
Yeah, and there's the Costa 2020 study, which was the first on it. It's high in elite CrossFit people, but that's true for every sport.
I mean, it's so much more complex than just saying, oh, the CrossFit's fallen out of favor because of injury rate. There's so many other like, unaccounted for factors that go into a business falling out of favor with people.
The fact that the guy was like a major racist.
Yeah,
they conveniently didn't talk about this, and he says that yoga is falling out of favor. I haven't seen that, to be honest. He probably lives in a place where I live on the the plateau in Montreal, which is like a bougie place, I guess. And there's just studios popping everywhere and everyone's doing their course. I would be hard pressed to say that yoga is falling out of favor. It's just, again, something he made up because he's in the little echo chamber and he doesn't actually look at data. He just looks at stuff he sees with his eyes.
All right.
You say anything egregious? No.
Can't remember. I mean, those are the major points I recall from that. Let's keep going.
Method in terms of one of the things that really stood out to me is talking about how variable the contexts are of solving people's problems, right? And because there are so many, you're talking about, oh, this person has a head tilt and their hips hurt, so why the fuck is that happening? Is FP, does it have a model of optimal movement and does it have like a step-by-step approach, or is it more of a framework of how you would investigate the context and investigate the problems in order to create novel solutions for the specific context? I'm simply, my job is to point people in a direction, and then it's the guys that are like you guys that are a lot smarter than me to be able to take the information and then put it into code. That's the idea. To say that there's a biomechanical model for all human beings, not everybody has the same torso length, not everybody has the same arm length, not everybody has the same level size cranium. Do I think it all homogenizes to the same place? Yes, I do. I think that Da Vinci had that right, the Vitruvian Man. I believe there are dimensions to a perfect human body that moves in all four dimensions. And so with that in mind, do I have a step-by-step approach on how I do things? To some extent, so people can understand it, but the idea is that you need to be adaptive to stimuli as it's presented in front of you. And in order for you to see that, you have to, like, if you look at, let's say, somebody who's really attractive, who's really beautiful, do you need somebody else to, like, an independent party to tell you that somebody's attractive, or can people uniformly tell you that person's attractive? Yes or no? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Right? So with that in mind, that means that your brain is already programmed to look at geometry in a certain way. You can kind of tell when something looks good and when something doesn't look so good. And what I teach people how to do is to tune into that intuition. I'm like, you see what that looks like, guys? I'm not going to point at all the triangles that just formed there. I'm not going to point at it. Those diamonds, those triangles, I'm not going to point at them. I want you to just look at it in all its fucking glory and look at all the tension that's being created when I form those triangles on the bottom. Just look at it. And then everybody looks at it and they're like, huh. I'm like, does that look right to you? And they're like, yeah, it does look right. What the fuck, that does look correct. I'm like, yeah, you already have this in you, you fucks. It's already inside of you. It's in your fucking genetics to be able to see these fucking points of geometry. I don't need to put it on the fucking piece of paper. It's encoded already in you, bro. You don't need to worry. Like, men and women both have it. And that's how we've gotten to where we're at right now. Sexual selection was highly built on these points of geometry, right? It's why we've gone after certain archetypes of types of people. It's why animals all look beautiful, because they have certain geometric configurations that are triangular in some capacity, and we are automatically, our limbic brain and our reptilian brain are probably already cueing us to select for those tendencies. It's like we are structured to begin with, and all I do is I just say, hey, look, like a machine elf. I'm like, look at this. Here's this next one. Look at this. Look at this. And I run people through an HBS course, or I have my people run HBS courses for me, and then the next thing you know, everybody sees it, but they just can't seem to put it fully into words. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. So again,
Boss. Yeah, volume's at max. That's really weird. It was louder last day, yesterday. Yeah, very weird take, because like if you look, I'd say one of the comments whenever we share those FP result things, as people say how uncomfortable they look. Right. That's just very subjective and untrue. And also, look at any sport. You can usually tell what sport someone is playing or guess it. Right. Like a basketball player is going to look way different from a soccer player or a football player. So it's almost like there's different people are going to be good at different things. Yeah. Right. You can almost like specialize, and brain does the same. And even if you can look at like ethnicities, right? The way the eyes developed in relation to the sun, or the skin, the same thing. Like those that left Africa, they became wider and their nose became smaller. Just, to resist with the cold and lack of sun, right? To absorb more, what is it, like sun rays? So to get your vitamin D or whatever. So this idea of like a ideal man is kind of stupid because it's context dependent. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I've also got to say that like, spinning around on cable machines is not exactly pleasant to the eye.
Yeah.
At all. He thinks it looks good. I don't think it looks good. So
yeah. And if you seen the chambers, that looks completely uncomfortable.
No, what
it's just that? When they're moving very, very slow and try to correct the dysfunction very, very slow.
Okay.
The cable, and there's like someone who's giving like a million internal cues, like, oh yeah, rotate that humerus, blah blah blah, and they're just moving like an inch. And what's the other thing I wanted to say? Yeah, it's just very odd. And he uses triangles. That's a good example of him picking something that's like vague and everywhere. Triangles are this simplest shape, so there's going to be triangles everywhere, right? You have like 206 bones or something. How many triangles is that? You can see triangles everywhere. At least for Goda, they're using spirals, which is harder to find, but a triangle is really arbitrary.
I don't know where he's pulling that from.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're idiots who don't know the system.
Yeah. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
I go, Naudi, we have thousands of years of scientific studies built up and collected data, and you're just going to go and shit on that and do your own thing, and not participate.
I'm not shitting on any of it. What are you?
No, I'm just.
You are.
By not participating in the scientific rigor, being the mainstream.
I am participating. I am completely participating in it. Structural integrity. I didn't come up with the term structural integrity. I didn't come up with the term tensegrity. I didn't come up with the term allostasis. I didn't come up with any of this shit. I'm literally just engaging in independent research. Fucking like, yeah. Look, man, I'm gonna tell you something else that's more along the line. I'm gonna talk about something that's a little bit political. Sure. Many of the individuals that come from this community would shit on me saying that, Naudi, what you're saying is scientifically unfounded upon. And guess what they have on their Instagram? Philippians 2:17. Oh, believer in Christ. And I'm like, so you believe, because you're a Christian, that Christ is going to come back and resurrect from the dead. And I don't mean to offend you guys or anything like that if you guys happen to be Christian, but I'm simply going to say, if you're going to call yourself scientific, there is no evidence that Jesus Christ even existed. None. And if he did, he didn't do any of the shit that he fucking did.
I'm not religious, so who cares?
Same.
I don't even know what
This
he's
is so
talking about.
And that he was quite literally a magician that was just showing people magic tricks. But then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna be a cult leader at the same time while I show you these fucking magic tricks. That's what I believe Jesus Christ was. He was a magician. If he did exist, so hold on, let me finish that out. The people who believe that they're being scientific aren't even scientific all the way around. I live science every second of the fucking day. I've relinquished myself from my free will completely, and I can't show you what I have in my living room because it's proprietary. But if I show you how I live my fucking life, well, I live like a stone cold fucking necklace with everything that I do. Everything that I buy has a functional purpose. I don't buy anything just because it has style or whatever. Everything has a functional purpose to it. So literally, I live in accordance to scientific principles every fucking day. I've rarely ever met a scientist because they all have their biases, right? They'll be like, hey, look, I'm a scientist, but now look, I'm a hopeless romantic. Shut the fuck up, dude. So it's like you're an animal.
I ask you about that because
Scientists can be in love, confirmed.
I also know that you have an aesthetic
And
appreciation
what,
of the human
sound
body.
waves
Hold
don't
on,
have
hold on, hold on.
sound waves don't have implications on our biology.
But no, this is what I'm saying is what's your take on beauty as part of functionality, as part of the appreciation for aesthetics, appreciation for nature, appreciation of beauty in general? Is there a functional purpose to beauty? I think you may have hit mute on yourself there.
Let's pause so we can talk about that.
Yeah. Can you put the volume in from the different source? Is that where it's low? I think it's coming from the external. Is it?
Let me check.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah, their idea of beauty is pretty funny.
Where do you want the volume to come from?
Just make it all from the same source, because I think that the main difference with yesterday is that you're using a mic now.
Right. So should I do the speaker in the microphone? Then I don't have headphones.
Oh yeah, I think that's the thing.
Oh wait, I might have headphones. Let me try this.
They can plug in, right?
Yeah.
That's better because sometimes your sound is fine, surprisingly, but
Like plug into the microphone
yeah.
or into my laptop.
And then you're gonna have to adjust from Zoom where the sound is coming from, and it's gonna be your microphone. The output.
No, what if I plug in my headphones to a laptop?
I'm not sure what's gonna happen. Do you have a mic on your headphone?
Let's test it real quick, and then we can talk about
Yeah.
this. If not, I'll just leave it.
Sure. Smells good. Eucalyptus and rosemary.
Yeah, never mind. Not working.
No, working. That's fine. We'll just
Yeah,
fuck her ears.
that's cool.
All right. Yeah, we're talking about beauty. I don't have much to say about that.
Yeah, there was something else. I forgot what I was gonna say now.
Functionality. He says that he lives functionality every day, and like no scientist does that because they're
no,
like
it's the
religious.
religious thing. Where did he come up with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait,
I don't know what he's
does he-
talking about.
we're both not religious.
Yeah.
So
I'm
it's
just gonna, I think
kinda
it's very
funny.
scientific. My approach is just like, I don't know, maybe God exists, it's just we don't really have strong proof. So if he exists, great. I want the afterlife. That'd be awesome. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not an atheist. I'm an agnostic because both are an act of fate, and I'm a hard believer for everything.
sure.
And yeah, the idea that you can't be in love, that was just a pretty wild statement. It's like, you're a what? You're a scientist, bro, but you're in love? Checkmate. Like, what the fuck? Because I guess he doesn't believe in love, but maybe it's just because he treats women like shit.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Like, wow, I can't believe it. No one's ever gonna love me. How is that possible? It's like, yeah, you treat women like objects. Jesus. Yeah.
All right.
Incredible statements.
Let's keep going.
Yep.
Check one. Can you hear me?
He's still.
I think you may have lost it.
Oh, that's a good frame.
I just coincidentally left quickly myself, but
I can see you, Naudi, but I can't hear you. You might have to either just double check to see if your mic is still turned on. There's a settings.
Copy, buddy.
He might come back, but I mean, like he'll probably sign back in a second. Do you think there's a functionality to beauty?
oh, absolutely. It depends on what function actually means, right? You've noticed really good looking people have easier time in life, right? So that in itself is a function. In terms of within, no, not really, but it guides how your
I'm
life.
here. Can you guys hear me?
You're here. Yeah, you're back.
I'm back. I'm
All
back.
right. So we're talking about the functionality of beauty as it pertains to anything.
Okay. So Anthony, is music structured? Do you need, in order to have good music that resonates with human beings, does it have to be structured?
Of course.
By the way, I rarely ever play guitar anymore. I relinquished my connection to music. I don't really do it anymore because I don't really care. Unless it's going to help me regenerate, I'm not going to bother doing it. Producing music is extremely dysfunctional. It really fucks your body up, and it doesn't leave you in a particularly good place at a physiological level. So I don't really do it. But
Is that you?
Yeah.
and I like.
What the fuck's going on? Incredible. Wow. I didn't know music was dysfunctional. That's crazy. You learn shit every day.
Artwork is what makes the medicine goes down. The relevance is the medicine, and the artwork is the sugar that makes it go down. If that makes sense.
I'm gonna go back because
Yeah, let's go back.
It's interesting.
that alarm went off for some reason.
We're talking about the functionality of beauty as it pertains to anything.
Okay. So Anthony, is music structured? Do you need, in order to have good music that resonates with human beings, does it have to be structured?
Of course.
By the way, I rarely ever play guitar anymore. I relinquished my connection to music. I don't really do it anymore because I don't really care. Unless it's going to help me regenerate, I'm not going to bother doing it. Producing music is extremely dysfunctional. It really fucks your body up, and it doesn't leave you in a particularly good place at a physiological level. So I don't really do it. But
What the fuck are you
music has
talking?
functional capacity to it. Artwork has some functional capacity to it. Music does, and I like music because it has the timing component associated to it. I'm not big into the visual art, although I thought Escher was pretty cool. I believe artistry is just simply there to make the medicine go down a little bit better. That's what it's supposed to do, right? You're supposed to implant relevance into a message, and artwork is what makes the medicine goes down. The relevance is the medicine, and the artwork is the sugar that makes it go down. If that makes sense.
It's interesting too because I find
It don't make sense.
Even building structures that are overly utilitarian, that are basically only serving the purpose of being a building, compared to say, the architecture of Europe, where there's an artistry to the architecture as well. And I don't want to get too abstract, but there's a different feel. There's a different
Spirals.
in terms of like the human experience.
I agree. When you're a dysfunctional organism, you're going to have to find beauty in things that aren't very functional. You might say, well, that's
Jesus Christ.
When I go there, I'm like, oh, that shit's fucking arbitrary. I don't care. I'm telling you, bro. When you talk about science, I live it, bro. I don't give a shit. I'm willing to relinquish myself from my attachments to my artificialities in order to get to a better world. That's the whole thing. Most people are not willing to do that. Most people are just simply saying, like, you know why Western society and why Western society prospers, especially the U.S. Why does it lead in innovation? Why do you think? I'm going to get a little bit political again. Does that offend some people? I don't care. I'm just simply saying. I'm just saying. This is why I don't do podcasts, by the way, because it's hard for me. I'm an open book. You don't.
Yeah,
I don't hide anything.
This is
right?
It's no filter network. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing is if I don't filter myself too much, I'm going to piss too many people off, and then they're going to want to fucking get my attention by saying that I'm some kind of a piece of shit or whatever, and I don't want to deal with it. But why does Western society succeed, and why do other societies not? What's the main variable? What do you
They
think?
pillage Africa.
Education,
Tradition.
life is here. Yeah. Oh,
Tradition. Tradition is the America has the least amount of traditions because it's one of the
So ignorant.
planet, and it's not very traditional. We don't have very much culture in America, and that's precisely why we succeed as well as we do. I don't want to speak too much from that because if I dig deeper, I study people, bro. I was born into behavioral science before I was ever into exercise. People have always fascinated me, and so for me, I always ask myself the question: why do people succeed and why do people fail? And to take it a step further, why do societies succeed and why do some societies succeed and why do some societies fail? And it's because there's some things they do right and some things they don't do right. And I'm trying to figure that out fundamentally.
That doesn't mean that each society is working. Like, let's say Nigerian Americans are known to have high incomes and they're coming from Nigeria, right? So it really their culture is hustle, let's go, let's do.
Isn't it Kenyans?
So
Kenyans.
How's
I mean, Nigerians as well, but
America, because
which
of
is built
the
off of science.
yeah, but I'm saying that like when they come to America, they have the opportunity to do their thing because of capitalism and the infrastructure's there, the money's there, where they wouldn't in their own country, right? So it's not so much the place; it is the person in the.
I'd say the tradition of America is just having options and not having a tyrannical figure over like shooting down people like myself that enable people like me to be creative. That brings about America being what it is and why it's so far beyond any other country on the planet. It's that freedom of expression where you can sound like a crazy person and say some crazy shit, but every once in a while you get a dude that says something relevant, and that ends up changing society for the better. So the idea is the reason that Nigerian is able to do that is because he comes to a country where there's a greater capacity for him to express his potential in a system where like people don't shoot you down because you have a non-traditional outlook. The thing is, if there is a tradition in America, is that there's a general open-mindedness to new ideas. Well, there's an open-mindedness if there's results that back up whatever the idea is being pushed forward. There has to be some kind of result. Whether the result can be skewed or not is another question. But I think we went all across the board and we barely discussed.
We didn't even open up any of the studies.
Yeah, you know what? We could do that on our own, I guess. Like, because it's gonna take 45 minutes, an hour to even get.
Well, let me put it this way: to anybody who's here, like, what you guys are going to essentially, what both Anthony and William are going to do is kind of legitimize not everything that I'm talking about because I'm sure they have points of disagreement, which is I'm fucking fully okay with. It's just great. It's good. It's not bad to disagree. But what I will say is they're going to invalidate a lot of the science that people see as hard science. It's not hard science. There's a difference between hard and soft science. What these guys are pushing is not hard science by any stretch. It borders on con artistry in many regards. It borders on that. In terms of
ironic.
when you look at the findings that are in these studies, they're actually humble by how they conclude things. But then you have other individuals who sensationalize. And what I would compare these individuals as, right? So you have a political left and you have a political right. And then you have an extreme left of blue-haired liberals or leftists on one side.
Why is he bringing it to that?
Alt-right conservatives on the other side. And the loudest people happen to be which people? The people on the extremes. And guess who are the people that we end up addressing most on social media? The ones that scream the loudest. I don't care so much about those people. They're going to talk all kinds of shit about me. They're going to say all sorts of different things. But at the end of the day, that chunk.
Did he cut off for you as well? Can't hear anything.
The fitness political
Okay.
side. People who are
I hear it.
conservative and say, you know what, we can't take a step forward because if you take a step forward, your foot might get wet, and if your foot might get wet, you might fall into a pool of water and you might drown. I think what you guys are doing is you're addressing the people on the conservative right in our industry. My concern is the people that are on the highly liberal left who are too intuitive, that don't understand fucking what it means to have to deal with the attrition of working with clientele. I believe that both the political right and the political left don't have any practical experience in life as it relates to politics, and I believe that the left and the right of our fitness industry don't have very much practical experience, and that's why they come up with some of the craziest fucking ideas, and which at least on the left they do, and on the right they defend the craziest ideas that have become somewhat established. And so on my end, the reason I had a talk with you before, Anthony, about why I can't really engage too much in the dialogue of what's in this industry, and it's because the internet just deals with extremists. You're just primarily dealing with extremists. People who are at work don't have time to deal with fucking dramas. They don't have time to deal with a bunch of bullshit that's on social media.
Okay, like, pause.
I got a mortgage that I have to fucking pay for, and if I don't show up.
He just said earlier in the podcast that he would spend all day arguing with people online, like quite literally. And he went. He also like, I don't know, keeps posting random, and he says the extremists. Naudi is very. I don't think you could ask a lot of people, even FP people, whether Naudi, where he is, he's definitely on the extreme. However you quantify that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would see shit and be like, "Oh yeah, that guy's just in the middle. He's a middleman or middle guy." Not really, right? Very odd. I mean, it's disappointing that they're not actually discussing the studies per se, because I've heard of their. I've talked to one of the guys. I don't remember which one. Will, yeah, and his argument was like that they're not addressing enough variables. But I've already prepared. Like I don't think that's accurate if we compare it to whatever Naudi or them are doing.
Yeah,
and I also think what's interesting is I think that they're misquoting me. Basically, they're addressing claims I didn't make, like when they're talking about the what do you call it, the what was that study, the Benal studies.
Yeah,
my only point is you didn't need to change movement to get people out of pain,
right?
And they were like, well, they didn't even do a good job of trying to change movements. Like, who cares? I don't care. And again, I cited that study because it replicates in a lot of places. They conveniently left out the Takeno meta-analysis, which shows the same thing, right? I don't know. It's very yeah. And the con artist comment is pretty funny. It's like, look who's talking.
I don't know. I feel like these are pretty hard sciences. Like we control for a lot of variables. I mean, especially like the biomechanical model type of studies, like with the spine, like those are pretty hard sciences, Naudi. I wouldn't completely discount those.
Yeah,
they don't give like a complete picture, like we said, like, you know, there's flaws in them. We've talked about those, but I mean, those are kind of hard sciences here, and I don't know. I think they control for more variables than what FP does. So I think we should listen to those studies versus functional patterns. But
yeah, because we have more than one quantifiable variable. So
right,
it's already we won. Yeah, pretty weird. Yeah, of course you would bring it back to the blue hair girl, whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder if he knows what side I am on the political spectrum. Probably. All right, let's keep going.
Then I don't pay for this mortgage, and I don't care about this drama. I don't care if you think that now he's a piece of shit, he's a dishonest player, or whatever it may be. I don't care. What I do care about, however, is that I need to go to work. And if I'm going to go to work, I need to have a body that's going to be able to function. And this guy seems to have a system there that's going to help me function. So fuck with your science. I don't care. And you know what proves my position? Look at P90X and look at CrossFit. Look at both of them. And look at yoga. Was yoga a fringe idea for quite some time, guys? Yes or no? Was yoga tested in a laboratory and then implemented into society? Or was yoga implemented into society and then they decided to make bias studies to verify that yoga is actually good for people? None of which are actually fucking longitudinal, and none of which actually showcase any objective metrics to show whether that it's hurting people's mechanics or not. But was yoga a fringe idea or was it not? Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. But now the scientists are like, yeah, probiotics. That was a fringe idea, a complete nonsensical idea. Now, what are doctors doing? They're literally saying, hey, look, probiotics work so well that we're going to literally take fecal matter and put it up your butt so we can hopefully help you replenish your gut biome. That's that's how far this is science. And quite literally on my end, I don't have time for the way that scientists deal with the shit that they do because they're fucking slow and they get caught up too much in controversies and they get caught up too much in capitalistic games and capitalistic. Vulture capitalistic games. For me, I'm an infrastructuralist. I'm not a idealist. I'm an infrastructuralist. And I'm focusing on trying to do whatever I can to build infrastructure so that way we solve the fucking problem of people not moving well. I don't care what anybody has to say about it. I don't care about people's philosophical dispositions. I don't care about people's traditions. I don't care about any of that shit. I am a cyborg oriented around trying to solve problems. I'm trying to make people into cyborgs. I'm sure that's probably going to sit really. I actually end up saying that in my courses. I'm like, you guys essentially have to become cyborgs that orient your decisions around things that are actually relevant to natural processes. I think if there's eventually, as a species, this is going to make me sound like a cult leader, and people are going to be like, "Oh my god, now he's a fucking cult leader." But I tend to
Because
think
you are.
that our decisions are that there's a 10 commandments. There are 10 commandments that people follow within Christianity, but there are many commandments that relate to biological processes that relate to natural law. And I believe that all of our decisions, in some way, shape, or form, have to orient in accordance to natural law if we expect to ever get to a Type 1 civilization. And so, really, what I'm trying to do is set the bedrock for a Type 1 civilization to try and understand what would a Type 1 civilization is. Try and actually think about how would they process information. And so, for me, I'm not a cultist. Because I don't have a cult. I don't have a sanctuary. I spend my time by myself most of the time, and I'm an introvert. And I don't like being around big groups of people. So don't worry about me being a cultist. What I'll say is this: is I live in America, I live in the U.S., and I'm trying to push the West as far as I can fucking push it. So then maybe at that point we can influence the East and these fucking countries that have, like, I want to push the countries that don't get. I believe that the West is orienting its values more around that natural law, and that's why it succeeds. And what my objective is to try and continue to push that imperial agenda. I'm an empiricist, right? When it all boils down to it, and I'm trying to push people into that direction. And I think that you guys here in a few minutes are about to push people into that empiricist mindset by helping them dissect information further. My goal, I'm hoping that I brought more people to your podcast because I watched episode 14 of what you guys. I listened to episode 14 and I thought it was fucking spectacular. I thought it was phenomenal. I hope that you guys continue with that agenda and you make it more common, that you address it with more context in a more specific situation, because that's how we get to a better society by not resorting to ad hominem attacks the ways that people have done. Anthony, you and I talked before. Have I used any ad hominem attacks to shoot down any of the people? Have I characterized anybody by how they look? Have I made fun of them for anything that they can't control within themselves? Have I done anything like that?
Well, in terms of your conversations about physiotherapy and being less competent, then no ad hominems in terms of talking to the field as a whole, right? That's
a joke. Okay, stop. Yeah. Can we just go to the video that I made where it's just literally Naudi calling people the R word and calling people sluts for like literally hours?
Hang on, what's it called?
It was on my Instagram.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, no, never mind. We'll just add it in post if we do a post, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, just that's straight up a lie.
He's
He's insulted me multiple times. Like me personally.
Let me mark the timestamp for this, then we can
just
use it as context.
The cyborg thing was pretty funny too, but yeah he's has he insulted you? Because he's insulted me like a couple times.
He just blocked me.
Yeah,
he's insulted my friends.
Yeah, like that's just I don't know what to say. That's just straight up lie. And he insults the field of physiotherapy all the time.
Yeah,
says that we're in competition. He's going to crush us. We're not in competition unless you're legally infringing on physio, which is technically illegal. Which, by the way, great job building a case for people who want to sue you by basically admitting guilt. But yeah, and we're not going to get into whether infringement matters or not because it's a boring discussion. Yeah, what did he say about that? Just a fucking thing. What did you hear how grandiose he thinks he is? He's trying to bring him the West, like the East or whatever, into the level of the West.
He's trying to get people to follow like natural law. I don't know what that means. It just sounds like one big appeal to nature fallacy.
Yeah, the way he's saying, hey, it looks good, we should do it that way.
Yeah,
Right. The triangles.
that's exactly what it is then.
Yeah, but it's also extremely grandiose. Like who? He's not the president. He's not a politician. He's just a guy with. He's literally just a P90X. Do you think P90X was like, "Hey, we're gonna change Western civilization as you know it
Yeah.
with our ab exercises"? It's like, bro, you're teaching people to spin around. Even if we believe that FP is the greatest thing around, it's not like this philosophical movement. It's just a way to exercise. Like, do you think let's take the most important person, like most important scientist or doctor or whatever. Let's take like Frederick Banting. Or okay, no, let's take like Norman Borlaug. I don't even think he would call it that, right? He's the guy who saved 2 billion people by doing the green revolution, I think it's called.
Okay.
Right? We were gonna reach carrying capacity. There was just not enough food for humans anymore, right? So it was predicted that in like the next 20 years, something like 2 billion people would die. And he just selected the 6 most, the crops with the biggest yield. And that's why we're able to have like a larger population now without horrible famines.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think he would say it as grandiosely as Naudi, whatever he did.
Yeah.
And if you talk to him, he's very humble. And then you got this guy, improvising exercises who thinks he's changing the world. Just like, come on, bro. Just be humble a little bit. He died, by the way. He says that people are going to say, yeah, I sound like a cult leader. Yes, you do.
Yes.
You are. You also have a cult. All right. It has all. I'm going to do a post about it. Literally, I checked the checklist. FP checks all of it. The only thing that might be missing, it's not a specific, it's just something that happens a lot. They don't have like a specific compound, right, where everyone lives together. That's the only one. Yeah, but what else did he say? He said something wild about yeah. Let's look at like cult survivors. No, look at cult checklist.
Okay. Yeah, because I want to see what the checklist you're talking about.
I think it's like cult survivor.
Cult survivor checklist.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the one.
Checklist of cult characteristics.
Yeah, it's this one. Yeah. Let's go through them. So what's the first one?
The group is
focused on a living. Go ahead.
Yeah, go. I'll do. You.
No, just go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So the group is focused on a living leader to whom members seem to display excessively zealous, unquestioning commitment. That's a big fat check.
Yeah, it's a big one. They always call him a genius, and if you question him, you get blocked and you can't take the course.
Yep. The group is preoccupied with bringing in new members.
Yeah, how many people have asked me to take the fucking 10-week course? Hey, you can't criticize us. Pay for this $200 course now. Okay, cool. What else?
The group is preoccupied with making money.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Now he regularly brags about it.
Questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished.
Yep.
Yes.
We talked about this. Yeah. You cannot criticize them. And if you want to be an FP coach, you have to suck Naudi's dick online and reshare his shit.
And one of your one person got like kicked out for like just asking a question, right?
Yeah, I talked about that last time. And it's not an isolated incident, right? You just cannot. And there's a lot of like people who don't speak out against it because they're scared. Like I have a list of like 10 people. They still do FP because they liked it, but they're like, if you even like, they would post videos of them doing like WEC method stuff, like mixed methods, right?
Yeah.
Doing FP and then just adding some other stuff. They're like, oh, that's not FP. What are you doing? And they just get bullied online by their coaches.
Wow.
It's like really fucked up.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's like, bro, I left a long time ago. Like, leave me alone. And they don't. Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
Mind numbing techniques like meditation, speaking in tongues, denunciation sessions, debilitating work routines are used to suppress doubts about the group and its leaders.
Well, you could argue that their diet is kind of debilitating, right? They have a very strict diet as well, if I recall.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember anymore, but they
So it's
just
more of
cut
a-
out a lot of stuff. But I don't think
so-
they do that much.
So it's more of like a FP is more like a lifestyle than just an exercise.
Yeah, it is. You have to
Okay.
literally just do that,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. The leadership dictates sometimes in great detail how members should think, act, and feel. Uh, yeah, for example, members must get permission from leaders to date, change jobs, get married. Leaders may prescribe what type of clothes to wear, where to live, how to discipline children, and so forth.
Yeah, so he doesn't go into
Yes.
that deep, right? But he tells people like how they should treat women,
Yeah.
and they should quit some jobs because they're dysfunctional, right?
Yep.
And there's only a certain amount of sports that are functional. So your life becomes centered around doing FP. You can't just do it as a hobby. It has to be your life now.
Yeah.
You quite literally said it in the podcast now, right?
Yep. The group is elitist, claiming a special exalted status for itself, its leaders and members. For example, the leader is considered the messiah or an avatar. The group and or leader has a special mission to save humanity. Big fat check.
Yeah, dude, he literally just said it.
Just
He's
said
trying
that,
to
yeah.
save the East.
Yeah.
And they always say like, yeah, results are unbeatable. Physiotherapists are scared. We'll see you in 20 years when we show our results. Yeah.
The group has a polarized us versus them mentality, which causes conflict with the wider society. Yes.
Yep, all the time. Yeah, very clearly.
The group's leader is not accountable to any authorities, as are, for example, military commanders and ministers, priests, monks, and rabbis of mainstream denominations. Correct?
Yeah, he's the top dog. No one can tell him what to do.
Yep. The group teaches or implies that it's supposedly exalted ends justify means that members would have considered unethical before joining the group. For example, collecting money for bogus charities.
No, I don't think they've done
Yeah,
that.
no. The leadership induces guilt feelings in members in order to control them. That's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't do anything else but FB.
right.
If you do it, you're dysfunctional or a whore or a moist hole. That's what he calls women, right?
Yeah.
So great. What's in the last one?
Members' subservience to the group causes them to cut ties with family and friends, to give up personal goals and activities that were of interest before joining the group. Yes.
Yeah, I got lots of friends who like they saw the guy starting to do FQ. They're like, hey, this is cool. And then I have a message where the guy, it's one of the guys I call at my work, right? To complain because I made a post about him. And he started coaching someone a friend knows. And like a few weeks later, my friend was like, wow, this guy's getting really weird. And he posted something on his wall that was like, I'm going to live to be 130 years or by doing FP. My body is completely dedicated to FP, some shit like that on his page. Like, that's not normal. Right? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And then if you do yoga before joining FP, you're gonna have to quit.
Yeah.
Too.
You can't do that. You
all
can't
these activities.
flacidize your tendon in your pelvic floor.
No.
Yeah,
Absolutely
Jesus
not.
Christ. Yeah, so again, not all the checklists, but what are we? Is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that's a solid 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
So it's like a 9.4 or 8.5 or something. Yep. So pretty damning in my opinion. They also have one that they did mention is that you have the rungs, right? The same way that you have it in like when you get to a higher level, when you show your dedication, you can access deeper knowledge, right? You have that in what is it? Scientology has it a little bit.
Scientology has that.
They have that, the HBS courses, right? You need to be like dick sucking master to reach HBS 3. And yeah, you've noticed all the top coaches, they all hate women as well. They post like stuff about women being whores. Or like unfaithful.
I don't follow any of those coaches.
Yeah, I don't. Just people send it to me. Yeah, they're pretty bad.
We gotta start memeing those people then.
Yeah, I'm actually collecting. Yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, keep going.
actually
There's dedicated meme accounts.
Memes about ad hominem person.
But yeah. So with that in mind, they're not going to win because the people that are in the middle that know how reality works that aren't suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect are going to look at it and be like, those guys are just fucking crazy. You can't be that conspiratorial about an individual and expect for me to take you seriously. That's why you don't see conspiracy theorists in the White House. That's why you don't see that happening there. You had Donald Trump who was there for a little bit.
They are. There's two.
You can't be a conspiracy nut.
There's like a couple of QAnons in the.
Conspiracy more accessible to people, but now little by little, people are starting to actually get connected to this thing called reality, and they're like, wow, nobody is truly that evil, and nobody is really that good, right? Nobody's truly evil, and nobody's truly good. I'm not concerned about either being perceived as evil or good. I just want to be perceived as useful, and I want people to take in the information that I have to help people become better. I'm not claiming that I'm a good person. I don't care. That's irrelevant to me. My perspective is, am I useful? I am? Okay, then take information that I have to present to you and use it. And if it's not useful, then don't use it. And go do whatever else it is that you're going to do. It's all good. I don't trip out. And never mind that. I believe that the people that are on the extreme left and on the extreme right are good. I think in general, most of them are good people. I think even the ones, I think they're operating from insecurity and they don't know how to have a good faith discussion because they haven't been checked enough by life yet. But once you get older, you begin to understand how to approach solving problems in life. Some of these guys, most of the people that are super controversial that will institute ad hominem attacks on me are really young. They haven't been throttled by life well enough yet. You get some older cats who exploit the younger people, who exploit them by giving them misinformation that make some money off of it. But let me put it this way: if I have an idea on how to make a car, but I have no idea how to make a car, the person that knows how to make a car is going to be the one that actually ends up winning at the end. So the cat's out of the bag. I mean, you can sit here and try and shit on me all you want, but we have that. We are a community of several thousand strong now, and it's like, in order for you to convince us otherwise, you're going to have to provide some extraordinary claims. If you have extraordinary claims, you're going to have to provide some extraordinary evidence. And to actually quote my boy, Lewis,
Hey, that applies to you too, buddy.
Sounds like it's making extraordinary claims. It's because you guys have dropped the bar so fucking low that it makes it look like what we're doing is actually extraordinary. Nothing that we're doing at FB is extraordinary. It's all within the confines of possibility and probability if you account for the variables well enough. And these fuckers know this, and this is why they resort to ad hominem attacks, and they don't attack me directly on the results that we get. Because if you look at the results that we get, at some point you can be like, oh, that result has this problem with it. That result has, well, wait a minute. That guy is a double amputee, and he had lower back problems. Like, you're going to tell me that a person what are you going to do with the person's knees if they've had a double amputation from the waist down? What are you going to do with that, right?
Teach them to walk.
Should you go fucking high ankle
What the
bone
fuck?
on a person who has a double amputation?
he's shitting on Goada.
And we've helped people with neurodegenerative disorders. At some point, people are going to be like, all right, we get the skepticism. We get it up to a certain point. But at some point, you're going to look like that crazy fucking conspiracy nut that's wanting to shoot down this guy who clearly has a vision that you guys can't account for. So you choose what you want to do. If you want to be the crazy fucking nut and deal with the consequences of that in 5-10 years, then go ahead and do that. But at some point, you got to get a job. And when you get a job, you can't behave like that anymore. Because if you do behave
Pause.
like that, then your bosses at LinkedIn are going to be like, or the boss are going to look at your social media and be like,
Yeah, first of all, I don't understand why they always say that. They act like I don't have experience. Like, I've been working for 6 years. I do that. That's like most of my fucking day. I help people in pain. Like, I solve problems the way they mentioned. Like,
You're too young still.
I've probably seen more patients. I know, actually. I've checked. One of the FP guys bragged about how successful his business was because he had treated hundreds of patients, and he was like, "We're 3 people." Like, I'm a low volume PT, and I see at least like 1,000 patients a year. Like, I'm very low volume. It's just the way I work. Because
but you only see patients for like 1 to 10 sessions. FP keeps their patients.
Yeah, because they're so good at their job.
Right.
Yeah. What was he saying before? He was saying something about I forgot what was he saying?
What about the double?
Oh yeah, the
double
amputees. It's
amputees?
funny to use this example because Yeah, I actually worked with amputees. We just teach them to walk. Like that was like my first clinical rotation. It is challenging, but I think we get good results. And yeah, he said the funniest thing. He said extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. It's like you have none where you account for any of the many biases of human experience or quantify it. You literally have just like, hey, this is better because I said it is in a system that I can't quantify or put into words. Right?
Pretty much. I mean, we've made like a lot of posts on this at this point, talking about the results.
Yeah, we're not even done. Like,
Results. No,
like
we're
I'm
not even
tired of
close.
doing this series, but it's just
Yeah,
there's so much to say about it. Honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to be done with this. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's such a double standard. And he said the Dunning-Kruger effect again, which is insane.
And then
I don't know.
he also he took shots at Goda too. I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
that.
Me neither.
I didn't know he was even aware of them.
Yeah, he is. They constantly shit on each other.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And yeah, he's fucking annoying.
Was that you? Shoot. Did we lose you? Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Nope. Can't hear you still.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep. Gotcha.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Let me share screen. Let's get this going.
Yeah, we were just talking about something else. The conspiracy thing. I don't think anyone would consider us the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, no.
We're the ones coming with a plethora of scientific evidence, and they're the ones coming with their experience and like, no, everyone's wrong. We figured out the secret.
Yeah.
Just from an outside perspective, if we're the conspiracy theorists, then we managed to trick all the scientists that I've never met. Right?
Isn't that what Naudi said he was trying to do? He was trying to convince the top 10% of the most brilliant people to buy into FP.
Yeah, the Illuminati.
Yeah.
Yeah, our best friends. Yeah. Are you going to that dinner with the Bones and Skulls? We're gonna go together in our $1 million yacht along with Pizzagate. I don't know, whatever. And he said there was none in the White House. Aren't there like a couple? Like there's like 3 QAnon in Congress or something.
I don't pay attention that close to that. Probably.
I
mean,
know. I've heard
could
that.
be.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's finish this.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
That anonymity that you get is not going to last forever. And then, by the way, how many followers do these meme accounts have? How many? Too many.
Let's go.
They don't have enough. They get thousands, right? They get that maybe hundreds of thousands if they're lucky. They don't grow that big. I'm trying to get
Been on
you guys
social for like 6 months, bro.
to take a
Yeah.
step back and look at it. I listened to people geopolitical strategies. I watched. I don't spend my time looking at the literature. I spend my time looking at history. That's what I do, and then I just apply historical context to my industry.
Cool.
Just like historians do the same thing, it's just like geopolitical strategists do the exact same thing. I want you guys to step away and look at it and be like, how big are these guys' platforms at the end of the day? Is it that big of a deal? And hopefully that'll enable you guys to not get pissed off. Anthony and Will, don't get fucking mad when these guys do this shit. It's just in the grand scheme of
We're not gonna meme them. We're gonna meme Naudi because he's
Yeah.
a misogynist.
I'm not
cuck.
giving them too much attention.
Matters, just like the biopsychosocial model matters. They both matter. They both need to be incorporated in a protocol. They both are tools that you're supposed to use. So you
There's
can't
three
just-
things actually, Naudi, not two.
Yeah.
As time passes, you're going to find more evidence to suggest that the biopsychosocial model works because it fucking does work. To an extent, it should be symmetry. I know Will, you wanted to interject with something.
Well, I was just gonna say the biomechanics field is already there. It's just we're like kind of the alternative biomechanics, right? The biomechanics exists within.
Okay,
academia.
Will,
And then
I'm not
you're
getting
gonna say, though, hold on,
biomechanics.
you're gonna say that they have the evidence of biomechanics, of proper biomechanics, and that's that.
Okay, they're going to have evidence, and what does that mean?
That means
What rules everything around us, William? A famous.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I
Oh,
hear you, right? I
Okay,
hear you.
so look.
What did you say?
I don't know.
Back up, back up.
Yeah, let me go back.
That's what it's all
Oh,
about.
money.
Oh,
It's never been about money and influence and power. That's
and
what
that
it's
doesn't
about.
apply to
So
FP?
as I see it, the
What are you
biomechanics
talking
don't have power. Why? Because they don't have a problem.
What do you think about this? If I go, I'm
Bro.
a policymaker, and I go, all these alternative guys are dangerous. They're not providing any science into the literature. They're making claims. They may be hurting people.
Oh, yeah.
They may be stopping people from moving and lifting. So
William,
regulate them.
I've talked to my lawyers. I've talked to my lawyers about this. We don't live in communist Russia, brother. We don't live in communist Russia. These guys.
Canada is getting pretty close.
Fuck. So I'm in the U.S. and that's not going to happen here. And I think that because of that, we'll be able to. We're surmounting evidence. I am seen as a specialist. When I talk to my lawyers, I'm seen as a specialist. And if somebody wants to slag on me because of my credentials or whatever the fuck it may be, that I could sue them based on that's libel. You cannot do that to somebody. If I have results to back my claims, if I have results to back my claims and I have people that are willing to give testimony that I have helped them and that I'm not claiming to cure anything, I'm just claiming to help people move better and to help them with their pain. I'm not claiming that. Later on down the fucking line, we can go into that round. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait before that happens. And at that point, we'll then begin to conduct scientific studies on other factors that relate to human health.
Yeah, can't wait.
Deeper into things. But never mind that. If you listen to David Sinclair, he's over there talking about how he's going to have the cure for cancer and all this shit, right? I'm not even saying anything like that. I'm simply saying that FP helps you move better, and that if you move better, you're going to be out of pain. Is that a radical fucking claim? Is that radical?
I don't think it is, but there's groups that
Made so much more, so many more claims.
licensing has happened
Yeah.
before on different industries, right? If somebody wanted to create a license that said you have to, let's say, publish or something like that. Hold on 1 second. And saying that you're kind of trying to decentralize your movement, that you're not following protocols and it could be dangerous. Like, that is where the narrative is going with your haters, I think.
You think so? But then guess what we have to do? We have to end up in a courtroom. And then if you put me in a courtroom and then actually explain my positions, I'm like, please, by all means, come to a courtroom, bro. I would love more than anything. I would love more than anything to go into a courtroom and demonstrate what I do in front of a court. Because I talked to my lawyers about this just because I was.
It doesn't matter. Like, make it pause the button.
Let's go to
Yeah.
the fucking.
Let's say you go to Walmart and the guy says, "Hey, I'm a doctor," and he performs heart surgery on you, and you somehow survive. The court's not gonna be, "Hey, you survived. Keep going." To be like, "Hey, you don't have a license. You can't do this." I don't think he has very good lawyers because I've talked to lawyers about this, and it seems pretty illegal. It skews on the like technically legal side. No, like technically unenforceable side of the law, but it's not true. Fuck. Oh, why was he saying that? And he was talking about the money, but yeah, obviously FP is biased by money as well, like everyone is.
Yeah, and I don't get this. He keeps going. He keeps going. I don't understand when he said the biomechanical model and the biopsychosocial model both matter. The biopsychosocial model kind of takes into account the biomechanical model.
It's included in it. It just says that there's other things that matter. And then he says, but it doesn't work. The biopsychosocial, he says, I do it, but it doesn't work. But then it was interesting. You got the, models that include it, like the Fritz 2007 paper. Physios who do that, who are more guideline adherent, they take less visits to treat their patients and they get better results. To me, that sounds like it's working.
But Naudi said less visits isn't good. You want to keep your patients for years.
Yeah, we forgot to take into account how much money I make. There's just proof that it's not true. We haven't resolved the pain science, like the chronic pain problem, but neither has he, right? Yeah, it's just chronic pain is extremely complex.
Yep.
And we don't have a good solution for it. And it's probably going to come to gene editing at some point. I don't know. Or like some form of very advanced medication or something. But yeah, probably something to do with genes. But fortunately, we're not there yet. We're doing what limited tools that we have in this lifetime.
Yep. All right. Share screen again. 15 minutes.
And then I'll demonstrate how what we do is different, and I'll show the courtroom what's different from an active mechanical potential opposed to a passive mechanical potential. And then the people are going to be like, oh shit. You have to realize for that to happen, William, it would require an advanced, it would entail so many, there'd be so many hoops that somebody would have to jump through in order to do that. And politicians in America are white. Why do you think politicians cater to corporations in America? Why?
And then everyone clapped in the courtroom.
No, because average Joes don't know shit. The level of foresight that an average Joe has is very minimal. And I'm not saying that rich people know it either, because rich people are fucking stupid. People at the top are stupid, people at the bottom are stupid. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm getting at is that essentially politicians leave it up. Like, we already have a system that's working in America where you allow the free market to do what it does. And if you regulate too much, guess what you end up doing? You end up dropping GDP. Do you think we want GDP to drop in America, or do you think we want it to go up?
Well, what about, taking out the oil industry, taking out let's say, what Biden did,
Yeah, are we taking the oil industry out right now, or are we slowly, gradually transitioning it out? And are we going to build the GDP with other renewable energies?
Yeah, you're changing the oil industry for the snake oil industry.
I'm not worried. I don't worry. That's the whole thing, guys. I don't fucking worry, right? I'm 38 years old. Do I look that bad for a 38-year-old? Do I look that bad? Considering the stress and the amount of times I've been fucking mean and the amount that people have torn into me.
Yes.
Do I look that bad for my age for a 38-year-old?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he looks okay.
Man looks stressed, bro.
Well, there you go. We got 230. I'm the youngin in this situation right now.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
So look,
We're the same age.
I'm not giving you
Almost.
I'm just simply saying, I'm just trying to expand your horizons a little bit. Step back and look at the whole situation. It's gonna be all right. You guys have a fucking duty here with this podcast. If you guys want to take it on, it's incredibly fucking important that you guys do what you're doing to prevent that fucking. Look, if it ends up in a fucking courtroom, it ends up in a goddamn courtroom. I'm not afraid. I'll just demonstrate what I do, and then judges are gonna be like, "Oh, fuck, this guy changed that person." I'll be like, "Judge, you see this person's structure? Okay, give me about an hour. Give me an hour. See this person's structure afterwards. Hey, person, are you holding that structure? Or is that
He has no idea how courts work.
reptilian brain right now, or did I? The person's gonna be like,
It's incredible.
I'm standing like this. I'll be like, Judge, I rest my fucking case. There it is. There it is.
If the posture don't fit, you must acquit.
Shit that I just fucking did, right? You have to realize you can't affect a company from competing. It's like the legal system has mechanisms built into it to ensure that we still stay as a free market system. So this is where capitalism ends up becoming very, very effective. it's very useful. It's problematic in the sense that there's inherent bias, and that bias keeps you stagnated. But then it's also problematic, or that it's beneficial. Problematic because of that, but then it's beneficial because then fucking guys like me get the opportunity to actually push something new onto the market, and that's why the GDP keeps going up, because you allow creators like ourselves to get up and continue to keep pushing new ideas. So with that in mind, you guys have a duty. If you guys can,
Pause.
Yeah.
He keeps, that's another thing. He keeps talking about like how healthcare works, but it's every time he talks, it's like clearer and clearer that he doesn't understand how healthcare works at all. Right? It's not, healthcare is not the free market. You can't just advertise as a doctor. You need to study to become a doctor. You can't just decide to be a radiologist and be like, hey, it's going to be cheaper than the other side. You just bought this MRI machine. It's like, no. Right? And there's multiple examples of a free market not working. You got to regulate it. Right? There's like the invisible hand of Adam Smith literally just does not work. It's been shown time and time again. Every thought experiment that we do on it, it just ends up becoming, like, if you do that, that's basically libertarianism. It just ends up becoming capitalism again, like where you regulate it. Sorry, liberalism, I guess. Yeah, the example is like if you take a peacock, right? Peacock, you know, the peacocks used to be able to fly very easily and gracefully. Now they can't. They just basically glide down because their tail became so big because it's used as a sexual characteristic that you use for reproduction. So they become really desirable. So that women choose men with bigger and bigger tails. And now they can't fly anymore. And a lot of babies die in the womb because I think their tails are too big, or they get eaten by predators. I don't remember, but basically it used to be that like 3 out of 4 made it out alive to adulthood. Now it's like something like 1 out of 4 in the wild. And that's a good example of why, if someone had been like, hey guys, or if we keep getting bigger and bigger tails, we're now going to be able to fly. So let's just cap it at this level. The peacocks would have been better off. So there's the same thing in society where it's like, if everyone seeks their own greed, it just doesn't work. That's the whole point of, like, I don't know, the Wall Street movie, not the Wolf of Wall Street, the Wall Street movie with Charlie Sheen. It just doesn't work because some people don't give a shit about the rest of the people. So yeah, you got to put some limits because some people are going to abuse it. Yeah, whatever. In my opinion, I'm not a political expert.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Yeah, so take that with a grain of salt, people. We're not geniuses.
Know nothing on this.
Yeah, like Naudi, we're not geniuses that know everything. All right, keep going.
I'm sure my guys, Mike Busciolo and Louis Ellery, would be more than happy. My boy Rodney Acero would be happy to come on and talk about these things. I think pushing this narrative is going to be there. And my objective is, guys, I want to connect to the right and I want to connect to the left. I think in the future, in the next 10, 15 years, people are going to look at me and be like, damn, this guy did go through a lot of shit. But guys, I really want to unite everybody. I don't want to keep this divisive force. It's not fun to be this fucking.
Great job.
It's not good. I'm going to hide off of this. I don't like when people dislike me, man. It doesn't feel good to break rapport with people. But sometimes you have to in order to make progress within a society. So if I could recommend for you guys anything, have empathy for other people. Try and understand their position. They're under market forces, just like you are, just like I am, just like we all are, bro. We are under market forces, and we need to be fucking with one another. But there comes a time when somebody's wanting to be completely unreasonable, and there's a time and you can't be peaceful with them. That said, you can engage yourself like a professional. The reason I did it is because nobody wanted to give me a platform to speak. So I kind of had to behave a little bit crazy. And I still am crazy. As I'm talking to you guys right now, I'm talking like a crazy person right now, which is why after this.
Agreed.
Yep. First thing you said that was correct.
If you guys think you're going to come to my page and just start fucking spamming my accounts, I prepare. I have an entire team that's going to regulate that shit, make sure that you get blocked off my fucking social media platforms if you come in bad faith. So don't worry about that. So I'm going to be taking about a 3-week break because I prepared. I think this is going to be the first vacation I've had in about 15 or like actual vacation where I didn't have my phone on me and I was working. So it's been about like 15 or 16 years since I had a vacation. So if I look a little bit like too intense, it's because, guys, it's been intense. It's been fucking completely traumatizing. This has not been a fun experience. If I had the choice to do it all over again, I didn't think it was going to be this hard. I was suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect. I would never have done this all over again. I would never do this again. I would not advise that anybody ever fucking try doing this because it will push the brink of your sanity to see all the bullshit that happens in front of you, and to try and address it and to try and keep your sanity while you're sober is not the fucking easiest thing in the world. I don't take any medications. I don't do any drugs. I just eat fruit. I eat meat. I eat fucking a few root vegetables, and I fucking get outdoors, and I work on my biomechanics. That's my coping mechanism throughout all of this shit. I have to somehow keep myself sane throughout all of this shit. And William, I can tell, both fuckers, William and Anthony, I can tell you guys see what's going on. I can tell you guys see what's happening. Don't worry. It's going to work out. It's going to fucking work itself out. Try having empathy. Try having empathy, not just for people in your own community, but have empathy for other people on the other side. I put this pressure because as tough love to the physical therapist and the strength and conditioning coaches to say, hey guys, you're setting a trap for yourselves by becoming complacent. Don't be fucking complacent. Aim to excel. That's all I'm doing. I'm just upping the ante for you guys to realize that you can do much more, and that your job can be so much more fucking fulfilling if you step it up a little bit. It's like that work sucks in the beginning, but if you just get past that point of that inertia phase, life is fucking. It's tough for a while, but then at that point, you begin to really appreciate what this thing is actually all about.
Well, now I wanted to publicly as well thank you for all the shit that you have taken over the years, and for being integral and not choosing the easy way out, not just saying as soon as you got some of the heat from the fitness industry, from the other people, when people in the Sherdog forums were shit talking you, when basically when everyone was shitting on you, you didn't stop, you just kept going, and you didn't take the easy way out and do the easy thing. You continued and you developed your system, and the result is that you've helped a lot more people, including myself. You've been an instrumental part in changing my paradigm, even in the, like, I've only taken the 10-week course and consumed basically every bit of social media and YouTube content of yours that I could, and you've improved the quality of my thinking, you've improved the quality of my mechanics, you've improved a lot of people's lives. So just in terms of how much you've taken on, how much you have continued to be integral to your vision and be integral to your values, despite the social pressures to kind of fuck off and go do something else. Like, just a personal from me, thank you. Like, I really, really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys too. It's been a fucking rough ride, guys. It's been a very rough ride, bud. Every time that you hear people that have been through really difficult circumstances, that's what makes it all worth it. To everybody who's kind of been there, who's gone through those tough circumstances, who sent me those emails, who have sent me those messages that were like, dude, fucking keep going. I was in a really fucked up spot, and you, if it wasn't for what you had to offer, I'd be if you're in a really tough. They were in a tough spot, and I helped them to come out of a tough spot. I don't do this for haters. I don't care about haters. The haters are not my motivators. I don't fucking care about that. There's no fucking. The only high that's better than keep this in mind, guys. The reason I get emotional about it is it's probably biologically, because I'm really just securing my own survival in life, because people value me. So I try not to see myself as a good person. So this is probably all self-serving. It's probably all self-serving. So
Bro, you're emotional. Let it go.
I'm not. So it's just like there's like an emotion that fucking comes when somebody's been in a really fucked up circumstance. Because I've been in really, really difficult circumstances in my life, and I don't want to get into that. But I've been through very tough circumstances in my life, clearly. And when you can lift that burden off of somebody's shoulders, it's hard to fucking get high. It's hard to get high on anything else when you fucking been able to do that for yourself. For one, where you can do it for yourself, but then when you can duplicate that for other people, goddamn, dude. I do this. Just so everybody who's watching, who's experienced this, I do this for you motherfuckers. This is why I do it. The reason I get up is because of that, bro. That's really it. So it's not even like, oh, I found it within myself. I saw that there was a need for something. I saw that there was fucking patches. There was holes that needed to be patched up in the system, and I just fulfilled what I could with what I know. At some point, guys, I can't. This is why I can't do fucking podcasts, because it's hard not to get emotional. And I think as time passes, people are going to recognize a lot more of what we've done and what we're doing, and it's going to be fucking really difficult to get in front of people and not get like overly emotional. It's why I can't even do HBS courses either, because it's like this happens every fucking course, man. I just like you. you visualize all the pain that fucking comes in with it, man, and everything that you go through to try and solve a problem. And it's hard not to get emotional. There's a lot of I need to be able to step away from this for a while so I don't get emotional about the shit before I become a public figure. Because I don't want to be looking like a fucking mess on this camera with you guys right now. I hate this shit. It's not the man in me, the manliness in me doesn't want to emote. Like, and I think it's for a reason, and I think it's for the better. And so that's why I need to take a step away from, like, maybe I come back in the future or some shit like that, and I become some kind of a public figure. But right now, I'm not in that place. I don't think I'm not even a physical representation of what the fuck FP is about, man. I still have to make so many changes about myself. Like, I still look like a little kid. Like, really, my face is still very fucking childlike, and I don't like that. I need to look more like a man, and I think it's because I think I have mental aspects of me that are very man-like, but then my physical attributes just never fucking caught up, man. And I need time to get away from this shit. And so that's really what the strip is about, man. It's been a long fucking 15, 16 years. It's been horrifying, to be completely honest. And for all the horror that fucking came with it, it's been worth it. I think it's been worth it. I think in the end it'll all be worth it. I think that the world will be better off because of it. I think I'll be better off, and I think people in general will be better off because of it. So I appreciate you guys having me on, and fuck, I was hoping this was not gonna happen, and so here we are. Now it's fucking recorded. Great. Yeah. To anybody who's out there, dude, it's like if anybody tells you that you can do anything that you want, that's not true. That you can't do anything that you put your mind to, right? But if you develop enough skills and attributes to be able to become individual, and you can discern information effectively, you can do a fucking hell of a lot. You can't accomplish anything you want. You can't achieve your wildest fucking dreams, but you can do a hell. If anybody ever told you can't, or that you're limited, or whatever the fuck it is, don't take it as a factor. They have their limitations, and you can't allow other people's limitations to limit your own perspectives on life. You can't let another person's lack of capability limit your own personal reality. You can't do that. You have to assume that sometimes it's just something that they're lacking within themselves. So if you have something fucked up with your body, if something wrong with your body or whatever, when there's a will and we have science, real science, there's nothing we can't solve. Literally.
Science without control groups are accounting for bias. Good science.
For joining us on the Art of Move. This has been an incredible conversation. We're on the same side, and we're trying to expand and grow the conversation. So we really appreciate.
They're on the same side too, bro. We're all on the same side.
We're all on the
At the
same
end of the
side.
day, we have to have.
I agree with the Goda guys, but not Naudi.
Yeah, no, I'm not on your side, bro.
At the end of the day, we need.
Yeah, I don't fall for that. I don't think he wants to stop people actually.
Don't look at them as your fucking enemy. Look at them as the system that's checking you to make sure that you're not fucking full of shit.
And this is 100%. The intention of this is to find a grand unified theory of human movement and biomechanics. Ultimately, anyone who's listening, we really hope that we're helping you improve the quality of your thinking. We're helping you think more critically about movement and about your biomechanics. We're helping you find better quality answers and asking better quality questions. And now, you've been doing that for me for several years, and I'm sure for all the people listening, you've done the same for them. You've made a tremendous impact in so many of our lives. So it means the world that you right before your well-earned vacation, you decided to hop on with us. It really, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come on. This was episode 67 of The Art of Movement. Will, we're gonna have to do a follow-up, man, because we didn't even get to some of those. So the next episode, Will and I are gonna go dive into the actual.
If anything, how about you guys reach out to my boys Mike Musiolo and Louis Ellery and see if you can get them onto your podcast to have a discussion, because they'll actually be able to get you.
Hillary doesn't like me.
I'm good at being able to look at variables and tell you where something will succeed and fail. They're both fucking ridiculous. Those guys are both snipers. In my community, I don't bring them forward. I don't have anybody to represent me.
Yeah, really did a job on that squat paper.
Yeah, wait till our video.
Yeah.
They're fucking snipers.
No, they're not.
They're not. Well, I mean, cherry pickers, like your parents.
That's a better way of putting it.
It's too much pressure, and it's too much pressure for too long. And I'm an introvert, and this is not my my domain is not being a public speaker at this point, man. So I know my role, and I got to do my own thing. But you guys can have a talk with them, and they'll discuss everything that they found with you guys.
100%. Well, thank you again. For those who are watching on YouTube, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, tell us what you thought about the episode. If you have questions.
Okay, just pause.
You want to leave a quick comment about what we thought about the episode?
Yeah, we should honestly. What should we leave? Just law. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm gonna go.
No.
No. Just I cried. Oh my god, I cried. Yeah, just say I cried. I cried because I'm an alpha. No, that's me.
No,
Just say I cried. Just say I cried. It's just funnier because there's no explanation. Yeah, lots to unpack there. First of all, bro, it's okay. You're allowed to cry. It's an okay thing. Actually, if you look at Greek society, it was revered. It was like the ultimate sign of masculinity. If you read the Odyssey, they're constantly crying about other men too. Probably there's some gay shit going on as well. But these are like Achilles is considered the pinnacle of masculinity, right? And Hector as well. And they're always crying in front of their men. And it was kind of the idea that you're so strong that you can be vulnerable in front of other people. That's kind of been lost with toxic masculinity in the West, right?
Sure.
Which is probably because of, when barbarians came and the Middle Ages started, I don't think you could be vulnerable in front of other people, right? But now we live in a society where we can do that. So it's okay to cry. Naudi, like I'm here to say that to you. And
Yep.
I like the part where you said we're just young guys who haven't been through shit in their life. Like I've been rammed into my life. Like I know about, I don't know if you remember from the group chat, but I've had shit happen to me. It's just, I think everyone has, but
yeah,
I'm not going to go into detail, but respectfully, Naudi, you have no fucking clue what my life is about. I've had it easier than most, but I've had hard shit going on. So no, in fact, I've had stuff happen to me and I've adjusted my practice and consequences. One of the reasons why I'm very flexible with my beliefs is that I don't attach my identity to my beliefs or my income. I just look at what the science says. And then I think you and I is one of the things we connect on, like functional, is that when we do reviews, sometimes we find shit and we're like, hey, you know what? This guy we were going to meme is actually right. We double check. We just don't do it to meme the people. And often we learn from it, right? Our take on shoes has become more varied.
Yes, I agree.
As we did the Squat U review. And there's a couple things where we literally, it's like, hey, there's actual data on this.
Right.
And we learned something and we don't post because we're not hypocrites.
Yeah.
So I like when people think that we're just falling for confirmation bias, because even when we did the review on what was it, discs adapting, we didn't even know if papers were out there. We just found some. We're like, hey, we happen to be, our guess was right, but we looked for papers that said that it didn't, and they just weren't good papers, or they didn't exist. It was just like theories, right? But when you actually look at experimental data, which is what we did, that's how we formulated our opinion.
We go look for papers that confirm. Like usually what happens is I'll go like just look up papers, and then some of them happen to like confirm my bias, and I will go after that and actively check if there are papers out there that like go against my bias.
Yeah, I do that regularly.
It should be done. Yeah,
one of my rules is whenever I hear myself saying, oh, but we know that for sure, I just go and try to find if there's new papers that came out.
Yeah. Since
I've established that belief to contradict myself. And it's happened. I think one of the big times was was like the reps for hypertrophy. You got to do 1 to 6 for strength, 8 to 12 for, was it like 15 for endurance, and then 8 to 12 for hypertrophy. And it's just, that doesn't seem to pan out in the modern research as per the Schoenfeld papers.
Yep.
I did that for my deep dive. No one warned. I wasn't critiqued by anyone. And I also think that the fact that we act as debunkers is that we automatically have to acknowledge the point of view of the other person.
Right.
Whereas they're just making shit up. Right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's what's worse than confirmation bias, where it's just like, you're just biased. You don't even look for supporting evidence. You just make it up. Right. Again, we can dive for hours, and now like experience is not reliable because we're prey to our own biases. I don't know. Let's unpack. I hope he has a good vacation though. Maybe I hope he comes back a different person who can respect women somehow.
Yeah. I mean, he said his bone structure was small. Like, what does he think he's gonna do on vacation? Grow his bone structure overnight?
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, what the fuck? He thinks he can change his bone structure
That
and it's just
yeah,
bullshit. Yeah, that's not how it works, bro.
that's concerning. Like his
Yeah,
how is he gonna grow his cranium?
I don't know, man. He's like, well, we have muscles there. You can contract your temples. You know, you got the masseter that kind of goes up there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Have you seen those guys on
Like,
steroids that their cranium or their
Yeah.
skull area like hypertrophies?
What if FP comes back and does steroids and he accepts the challenge? He's like, I'll challenge you, like on a cycle. He just goes up like 3 weight classes. That'd be hilarious. No, but yeah, it just doesn't happen that way. Bodies change, but like the nose keeps growing and then ears keep growing. I think through life, is that it?
I don't know.
There's like I know that I'm pretty sure the nose and the ears keep growing through life, which is why like old people look like they have bigger noses. But the cranium is pretty settled, right? Until the sutures settle as a baby.
Yeah.
Unless you take steroids, right? Or GH. Yeah. So
I don't even know.
It-
Does it? I don't know if it even changes with steroids.
yeah, I think it can. Like Barry Bond, or is it with G? It does with GH, I think. We're one of them. Like Barry Bonds went up like 4 sizes of caps in his midlife.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like you could see it. It's like the biggest. That's one of the reasons why he has an asterisk on his name, despite having the most home run records. Right?
Huh.
It's literally like, yeah, his cranium went up like several sizes after he was done growing, which is really fucking
That's
odd,
wild.
right? So he can. I don't know if that's GH or steroids.
Yeah.
We don't even.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, do you still hear me?
I can hear you now. Okay.
All right.
You just broke up for a second. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can
Okay,
you
cool.
hear me?
Yeah. All right.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Yeah, so I think we can wrap it up. Like, what
Yeah.
did we learn? You said less bullshit in part 2.
We should what?
You said less bullshit in part 2, I feel like,
Yeah.
because it was less specific.
Yeah. It was more like political arguments and economic
Yeah.
types of discussions.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what his research team is gonna do.
They did a new
Um,
video, right? On biomechanics when they matter. But
Yeah.
we still have to respond to
Well,
that.
no, they're gonna do a video on peer review too.
Yeah. So they
I
have
think-
3 videos that we have to answer.
We have to answer the squat video
This
first.
is fucking, yeah, we have to fucking film it. I have time. Like I have a day off tomorrow, so I guess I'll just waste my fucking time doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah. I'll
I
have
mean,
to
we
check.
have the script ready, so
The script's ready, so yeah, we'll
Yeah.
just use. You have a prompter? We'll just use that. Yeah, we can end the stream, but whatever. Guys, it's gonna come. Maybe you could comment what format would be better for this because we're still free ball. Like, no, we're not free balling. That's
we
free
could-
basing. Yeah, we don't know if it's gonna be a podcast or if it's gonna be on what do you call it? Like YouTube. Definitely this is too unwieldy for a podcast format because it's too long. It just lasts
right.
like 3 hours for something that's completely uninteresting. But as a hangout, it could be fun, right? But yeah, we could do. I don't know. Let's figure it out. If you guys have ideas, just leave it in the comments. Honestly,
For the squat video, we could react to the original video and just go over point by point, just citing studies, like kind of how we're doing now.
No, but we should do that for
Or-
the other videos because it's gonna be faster. But the squat video, we already wrote the
Yeah,
script, right? So
okay,
we
yeah,
should just
yeah,
do
yeah,
that,
that's
right?
fair.
Much easier.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Cool.